Hi, this is Dr. Jed Diamond, and welcome back to this series of videos on relationships. I want to show you how you can keep yours passionate and alive. Plus, I want to teach you how to make your relationships more fun, more intimate through the years. Whether you're single or in a relationship, you're going to find this video incredibly useful because you're going to find out why so many relationships begin to deteriorate and fall apart at a particular stage, and how you can not only avoid this pitfall, but actually use this period to create real lasting love in your relationship. As you'll recall from the first video, we talked about 5 stages of relationships and why too many relationships go under at stage 3. Remember, we talked about stage 1, falling in love, stage 2, becoming a couple. But there's a stage 3 we call disillusionment that's important that we're going to teach you about. Stage 4 then is creating real lasting love. Stage 5 then is finding your calling as a couple. But most people don't even know there are 5 stages of relationships. So when they grow apart, they feel incompatible and disillusionment sets in. They come to believe that they are with the wrong person. And the appropriate thing to do if things aren't working out and the relationship continues to be painful and unsatisfying is to leave and then later start over again with a new partner. Remember these wise words. They've helped me many times. To get divorced because love has died is like selling your car because it's run out of gas. Diane Solis said that. Today I want to share the 5 things you need to know that can turn things around and save your relationship when it hits the inevitable rough times. First thing I want to have you be aware of is that falling in lust or falling in love are nature's way to perpetuate the species, not create healthy, fulfilling relationships. Now, it's good to remember that the survival of our species, like all species, really depends on us finding a mate, having a child, and staying together long enough for the child to survive. According to biological anthropologist Helen Fisher, there are 3 interrelated brain systems that help us do that. First, sexual desire or lust gets us out looking for someone. Second, falling in love gets us to focus our mating energies on that one special someone. Third, attachment and becoming a couple keeps us together long enough to raise a child. But really nothing about this is meant to fulfill our deepest dreams for happiness and joy. Powerful brain neurotransmitters and hormones like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, testosterone, and estrogen do nature's work. That's why these first 2 stages often lead to conflict and disillusionment. George Bernard Shaw offered this humorous comment about marriage. He said, when 2 people are under the influence of the most violent, most insane, most delusive, and most transient of passions, they are required to swear that they will remain in that excited, abnormal, and exhausting condition continuously until death do them part. No wonder, huh? Things don't work out. Nature's goal is to perpetuate the species. If we want real lasting love, we have to go through the narrows of stage 3. The second thing I want you to get is that the purpose of stage 3 disillusionment is to help us get real. Here's how it works. So let's face it, when we feel that chemistry, that lust, that falling in love feeling, we're not really seeing the real person. We're seeing the projection of our hopes and dreams. We see the person we want to see, not the person who is actually there. When the drugs of lust and love wear off, we begin to see who that person really is. All those endearing things we thought were so cute and desirable when we were under the influence begin to irritate us now. The things we do when we're courting stop once we've gotten the prize. The result is we often get angry and hurt. We feel betrayed. We wonder, what happened to the person I met and fell in love with? Where did they go? Why did they disappear? But here's the thing. The opportunity of this stage is to get past the projections and to get real with each other. To allow ourselves to love this imperfect being that has their own excesses and deficits. To allow ourselves to be truly seen and take the risk of letting our partner know us fully, to come to know us and love us, flaws and all. That's the great gift of this stage. Okay, the third thing I want you to get is that another purpose of stage 3 is to help us deal with childhood wounds. This is probably the most important thing I want you to understand. Most all of us have had some wounds from our parents and our families growing up. Some of us grew up poor. Others went through a divorce or a death of a parent or loved one. Some of us lived with a parent who had mental problems or drank too much, or our needs weren't fully met because our parents were overwhelmed with their own problems. Whatever the wounds, they impact our adult relationships. Now, I still remember my father was depressed a lot when I was growing up, and he left the family when I was 5 years old. My mother had to work full time, and I was left alone with others. I didn't have much parental support because my mother just wasn't there. My father was gone. My insecurities growing up made me anxious. When I fell in love subconsciously, I was looking for a partner who I could totally count on, who could totally be there for me. But I was always worried they'd leave. When I became scared, I'd get clingy, and this often drove my partners away. So whatever our wounds as children, they show up again in our adult love lives. This is really the important thing that I want you to get. The things we fight about, the things that come to bother us the most, are always related to those earlier wounds. Now, this is really important. I found that as much as 90% of our conflicts, disagreements, and disappointments are connected to our past wounds. Let me say that again. 90% of our conflicts, disagreements, and disappointments come from the past, not the present. Yes, our present situation, things we are doing to our partner or they are doing to us, account for 10%, but only 10%. Knowing that, we can be more understanding and caring of ourselves and our partner. We can also learn to solve our present problems by healing our past traumas. Now, the fourth thing that I really want you to hear is that separation and divorce are contagious. Yes, you heard me right. Now, I know it's natural to talk to our friends when things are going bad in our relationship or we're having trouble in our marriages. I did that in my first 2 marriages. We need people. We all do. It seemed that a lot of us in my group as I was going through this time of my life were going through similar things. And a lot of my friends were splitting up. But here's the thing. It never occurred to me that I might be influenced by what was going on with my friends. But new research is showing that divorce is actually contagious. A recent study suggests that divorce of a friend or close relative dramatically increases the chances that you will divorce. Think of that. They found that study participants were 75% more likely to become divorced if a friend is divorced. And listen to this. This kind of boggled my mind when I read this. 33% more likely to end our marriage if a friend of a friend is divorced. It even ripples out into the larger community of people that we know. So here's the thing. We need to choose the people you share your concerns with. Do they encourage you to work things out, to, go deeper in your relationship, or do they encourage you to get out? Knowing that our friends can influence our actions allows us to be aware that we may be more easily pulled out of our marriage, but we can counter this pull if we're aware that it exists. Okay, now the fifth thing that I want you to know is the negativity bias makes us think that things are worse than they are. Now listen to this. During our evolutionary past, we survived by focusing on the negative. When we saw the bush move and assumed it was a lion, it was better to be wrong 99 times out of 100 than to assume the best and be eaten by a hungry predator. So neuropsychologist Dr. Rick Hansen says, when the least little thing goes wrong or could be trouble, the brain zooms in on it with a kind of tunnel vision that downplays everything else. Listen to this. This is so important. He says, we are Velcro for the negative, but Teflon for the positive. Think of that. Velcro for the negative. We glom onto it, but Teflon for the positive. It just kind of floats away. It doesn't stick. What this did was it helped me to recognize that we're influenced by the negativity bias more than we think. Things in my marriage weren't actually as bad as they seemed. So knowing my bias helped me to hang in there with my wife when things got rough. It's what's helped Carlin and I not only stay together for, these 36 years, but to really go through the 5 stages and get the incredible value from being in a real intimate relationship that lasts. And here's another thing I learned. Once negativity starts taking over our brain, everything looks more negative. We look back at our earlier times in the marriage and it all looks bad, even when it looked wonderful at the time. Now, many couples are baffled by this. One woman told me, she said, just last year my husband was telling me I was the most wonderful person in the world. He gave me a card telling me how he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me. Now he says he never really loved me. He says, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I want to leave. It's crazy making. What's going on? How could, he all of a sudden switch from everything was wonderful, I was the love of his life, to I'm not in love with you anymore, I want to leave. So it does sound crazy, but it's the negativity bias. Once our brain goes negative, we paint everything negative. We often fail to remember the good things that we once had. Now, I really want you to hear this. Once we understand the negativity bias of our brain, we can learn to fix things rather than letting our biased brain pull us apart with fears. But to get to stage 4, real lasting love, we have to get better at understanding and resolving conflicts. This is a skill I'm going to teach you in the next video. I have a simple yet powerful process that can help you understand why one of you often gets invasive and anxious and the other closes down and withdraws. How to turn conflicts into understanding and healing. This is what I want to give you. At the bottom of this video, you can share your own concerns and ask questions you want answered. I'd really love to hear from you. So use the comment section below this video to tell me about your own experiences with the 5 stages and where you've run into trouble. This is Dr. Jed Diamond. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.